All right, g'day. You're here today with Angus Barrett. I'm Angus Barrett. We're at Angus Barrett Saddlery, and today we're talking saddle pads and saddle cloths. Kirsty's to come and see me, and she says that we get a lot of inquiries on the web or through the web around I'd like to purchase some saddle cloths. Anyway, we don't make saddle cloths. We have in the past, which is why I have one here. And we make saddle pads, which is what we have here. So very briefly, the difference between a cloth and a pad is, the best way I can think to explain it, is this is a dish cloth, right, and this is a scouring pad, or maybe a pad, right? Pad, sponge, absorb, cloth. Only difference over here is both my products are pure wool. So this is a wool kersey wool. It's made from a woven, it's like a woolen blanket or anything, it's pure wool. They make a yarn, they weave it up, a warp and a weft when they make the blanket or the kersey, and that is a saddle cloth. So it's a very thin layer of wool, which is still made up of fibres, which would be woven into yarns, etc., etc. The saddle cloth is great for underneath very light saddles, for light riding, or I know I grew up in one, which is why we have them. I always folded ours in half, long one, the bottom one a little bit longer, like that, and then it'd go over the horse like this, and then I'd put, like, I don't know, what did I weigh when I was a child? Probably 35, 40 kilos. And I rode in a little equestrian saddle, and or an all-purpose saddle, and it was very easy and suited the horse and suited me. And that was a few years ago. There's nothing wrong with riding in these, and if you've got a good fitting saddle and you can get away with riding in a beautiful saddle cloth, as long as it's pure wool, I'd definitely go for it. On the other hand, if you'd like a pad which absorbs and breathes and draws more in, so we can literally fit more sweat and liquid into this pad than we can into this cloth, just as the same as this. And then this one you should be able to squeeze out. This one you can't really squeeze out, the saddle pad, that is. And the cloth you can squeeze out too, but we're not talking about squeezing out. I guess the sponge can absorb more than the cloth. And here the pad can absorb more than the cloth. The pad, when you make, so this is felt, this isn't felt. The saddle cloth is woolen blanket. The saddle pad is woolen felt. When you make felt, you lay the fibres down, and you put a big thing on top of it, a big weight, and it vibrates, and all the fibres, and they're little hooks. So when you get in with the microscope, they've got little hooks, and they all lock in together, which creates a pad. No, which creates felt. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the difference. The saddle pads we sell, we only have two thicknesses, so like a 13 and a 17. We used to have a 13, a 16, and a 19 when I first started making them. We only have two thicknesses now, a 13 and a 16, a 13 and a 17. And really I've got a thin and a thick. This is the thick. This is the thin. The thin is more flexible. It can absorb less. It creates it would sit your saddle higher off the back of your horse. So if you have a very good fitting saddle and you don't need huge sweat absorbent, the thin is the way to go. I really like the thin. The thin's my favourite. The thick I always find a little bit heavy, and I feel like my saddle gets up a little bit higher. And that's it. I think that's it, Kirsty. I think that's the difference between a saddle pad, which is made from felt, and a saddle cloth, which is made from blanket. Both products are made of pure wool, especially anything I deal with anyway is pure wool. I wouldn't use a cotton saddle cloth we have. Like I remember the Pony Club one that I used to have. It was like a cotton towel, and it used to go over. But we always put a woolen saddle blanket, saddle cloth underneath that, and I think that's because it's because the wool's a lovely fibre, natural fibre that seems to connect very well with the horses. All right. Any questions? Please don't hesitate to give us a call. Stay cool.